he that comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord.
Hosanna in the highest.
So, seeing if you were paying attention to the gospel, which by the way is in your, I put in these books a long time ago. The gospel itself, or IPs, I tend to do that. So keep an eye out for it if you're not used to it. But today we have the account of the triumphal entry into Jerusalem. And that is the official name of this feast, even though we call it Palm Sunday. It's been called Palm Sunday for well over a millennium. So, but it is, I'm going to come down here so I can see everybody here. You know, in the later West, they came up with a feast of Christ the King, but they really didn't need to, because this is the feast of Christ the King. He is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. He is the heir of David. He is the heir of Israel. And it is, Jerusalem was his city. That's why he was welcomed into it so gloriously, because they were recognizing him as the Messiah. But we read before all that he had supper with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, who was just raised, right, the day before. And by the way, this is the only feast where we actually sing the same troparion for yesterday as the troparion for today. It's the only time out of the year where that happens, because the two feasts are connected. Palms weekend. But we read that that Mary took a pound of ointment of spikenard that was very costly and anointed the feet of Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair. And Judas goes and scolds her, right? Judas was the treasurer. Don't you know we could have sold that ointment and given it to the poor? As we know from history, Judas didn't just betray Jesus. He also was pilfering. He was embezzling the apostolic funds. And Jesus says, and that's why St. John said, it's not because he cared about the poor, that he wanted to sell off the oil of spikenard, right? The expensive oil. But Jesus says, the poor always you have with you, but me you have not always. And this is a very important point. You know, whenever people are trying to penny pinch certain things, there's certain things around church that we should never penny pinch, right? One thing is air conditioning. But we certainly have some other things that go to the glory of God. You know, we shouldn't go cheap on. And, you know, from years ago, again, and everyone's tastes are different, but from years ago, we, you know, began a slow, steady progress for this church to look like it is, because I thought it needed to look like it was fit for not just a king, but the king. The King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That we needed to do more than just get palm branches for him, but that we needed to appropriately decorate his house and make it as beautiful as possible. And as a priest, you guys don't hear it. I mean, those of you who were here early for the vesting heard this prayer, but the priest prays during the entrance prayers before vesting. Actually, I love, O Lord, the beauty of your house. I love, O Lord, the beauty of your house and the place wherein your glory dwells. Right? And so that beauty of the house is a very important thing. Unfortunately, we have people who don't love the beauty of the Lord's house and have been burning down churches, whether Notre was hung down on purpose or not, we don't know, but 20 other churches in the vicinity within weeks were, right? I mean, so, in any case, there's people who don't love our Lord, and who don't love that we worship Him, and do not love the beauty of His house. And they're obviously even worse than Judas, right? Who not only just didn't want it, didn't want the beauty of the house, and didn't love the beauty of gifts to the Lord, but also these people are destructive. And oftentimes in the news I hear people, how can we make sense of this? How we can make sense of it is we read our Bibles, and we read that the heart of man is desperately wicked. We have a mountain to overcome. Fortunately, the Lord did it for us. He climbed that mountain and got nailed to a cross on it. And so by adhering to Him, we don't have to do it, but only if we adhere to Him. If we don't, we're trying to make sense of it. There's nothing to make sense of except for the fact that a world without God will be desperately wicked. That's the repeated story of the Bible over and over again, to the point where a catastrophic flood came, saving only 8 righteous. Right? Remember Sodom and Gomorrah. And God saved it for the sake of how many? Would He save it? How many was it that He would save it for? No? He wouldn't save it for one. 10. The rest He evacuated. Just like with Noah, right? Sodom and Gomorrah, He's like, yeah, we didn't get to 10. The cities, they're going. You guys evacuate. And He evacuated the righteous people out of the city. That's what happens in a world without God. That's what happened in the heart of Judas. That's what happened in the heart of these people who are burning churches over in Europe. And may God protect us and not lift His protection from our country, which is also turning away from God, in the same manner as Judas. Right now, we're more like Peter before his conversion, before his repentance, right? As a country, we're denying God, but we haven't quite completely betrayed Him into the hands of men. And we need to pray daily that we don't turn from our God. That our motto still always stays in God we trust, not just as a country, but each as individuals. And that we try and encourage every person out there that there's a reason why we put in God we trust on our money, right? There's a double meaning of trust there, right? A double meaning of trust in God. We don't put our trust in money. We put our trust in God. So this week, let us remember that the times in our lives where we've been Peters or Thomases or even Judases. Let's look back and thank God that He delivered us from that. If He hasn't delivered us from it yet, let us pray and take courage to do things to which He will lift that from us, that He will grant us the wonderful things, that He will reign in our hearts, that His throne will sit right here on top of our hearts as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, so that our heart naturally cries out, blessed is He that comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. God bless you and keep you this holy week. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Blessed is He that comes in the name of the Lord.
Hosanna in the highest.